Howdy guys, Woody the Mortar Mauler here, coming at you today for Clash Royale in Cologne, Germany. I'm broadcasting the CCGS European region, and I've been spending all my time preparing for it. I've just got a little bit to share with you today. I actually wrote an entire essay about this topic, but I thought that bringing it to YouTube would be a great way to just talk directly with you and be able to receive some comments afterwards. So I'm going to put a 2v2 game on in the background while I introduce the topic. It's about the Crown Championship, which is the biggest, most official, most awesome tournament series in the history of Clash Royale, with over 27.4 million players competing worldwide for over $1 million in prizes this year. The CCGS is really shaping up to be an incredible experience for those who make it to the top. And if you watch the spring season, I'm sure you'll agree with me that it's been some of the best competitive gameplay that we've ever seen. As a commentator now for the CCGS European region, I'm keenly interested in the success of the tournament series, the future of Clash Royale as an esport, and the competitive integrity of the game. However, I'm concerned about an upcoming change to the game, and believe that you really should be too. After a hugely successful, highly competitive spring season, players are really looking forward to the debut of fall season, Stage 4, which is this Tuesday. I hope you'll watch. But things are going to be a little bit different this time around. The official tournament rules have been changed to harmonize the rules of the duel across different regions leading up to the World Finals. This is a good thing. We want everyone in Europe and Americas and in Asia to be able to compete at the same level under the same rules so that when they make it to the World Finals, they've all got there on the same footing. But consider one specific change that was made, introducing the double blind ban rules, which hadn't been used in North America, in Europe, or in LATAM, but had been experimented with in some regions in Asia. I'll put those rules up on the overlay right now for you guys to read. In this format, before the first game of a match, both players will be able to declare one card banned, resulting in up to 2 cards being banned total. And when a card is banned, it may not be used in any deck during all games for the remainder of the match. The CCGS website had previously stated that there are no deck restrictions during the fall season, so you may be able to bring whatever cards you wish to battle. But unfortunately, this won't be the case for players in the top 10 and in the regional finals. I believe that this is a bad change, and I want to share my reasoning why, so that future Clash Royale tournaments may still celebrate the best of this amazing competitive community. But first, why was this rule introduced? There's been no official explanation for this restrictive new format, so really only left to ponder the history and possible intent for the change. Let's take a look at some other card games and video games that have done the same thing in the past. So for example, Magic the Gathering. Very old card game, been around for many years, and it's got a banned and restricted list. They talk about the reasoning for the bans and restrictions here. One of the keys to the game is diversity and ensuring that no one card or strategy dominates. Basically, there's some cards like Black Lotus you may have heard of, which are so good that they break the game. The same is true for a game like Super Smash Bros. Meta Knight was just so good, he got banned from competitive play. No one is allowed to use Meta Knight in most of the big Super Smash Bros. Brawl tournaments just because he's so freaking good. But this rationale hasn't really been quite as necessary for games that are dynamically updated to correct for power imbalances. Games like Clash Royale, which have updates pretty much every month or so to try to iron out imbalances and introduce new cards and all that. There have been some other games, notably League of Legends and Dota, which are both in the MOBA genre, which have built into their game format a ban and pick system. This encourages gameplay diversity over there. It might work, it might not work. I don't really know too much about these games, to be completely honest, but I do know that some of the most visited websites for the games focus entirely around the best bans that you can choose for a given lineup, you know, the best power picks, the best counter picks that you can make against your opponents, and so it's key and integral to that scene. And I think that the flaw in importing that into Clash Royale is that you're kind of trying to force a round peg into a square hole. These are two entirely different games, and the rationale for the introduction of bans out there doesn't necessarily apply to Clash Royale. If there's another good reason for the bans, I'd love to hear it, but it seems that the card bans are intended, 1, to allow players to counteract gameplay imbalances, and 2, to promote deck diversity. I believe that card bans are a really intrusive and ineffective way to achieve these goals. So just right off the bat, right now, Gameplay balance is at the best that it's ever been. Many different card and play styles are viable. If you check Stats Royale, a lot of different decks were used in stages 1 and 2 leading up to the competition that we're at right now, where players have been using any number of over half a dozen different types of decks. Now, if that isn't enough for you, take a look at what some of the players who are most skeptical and most disappointed in the past metagame, so it's called, said about the balance changes that came out. You got guys like Isopa who are saying that he's happy to have a motivation to improve again, and guys like Hazard, who says that he's really happy with the balance changes that just recently came out, and that they are taking a lot of community suggestions. This is just kind of all to say that the bans are not necessary to begin with. But even if you do believe that they are necessary, I still believe that the admins for CCGS have a lot of different options in their arsenal to be able to counteract any one card becoming too good. I think that they should ban those cards outright. If a new card gets released and it's just way overpowered, the admins for this tournament, as in for past tournaments, should just say, no, you can't use that card at all. They shouldn't leave it to the players to pick one card from any in the entire game to ban. I think that's a really bad idea. I think that at the very least, they could resort back to something called the Conquest format, which worked really well for Super Magical Cup and the Clash Royale North American Open. There's actually even a video that Clash Royale came out with and published to explain the Conquest format for Clash Royale. Let's take a quick look at that, because it's a quick and easy explanation, and it's a really great format.
Check out weekly series Super Magical Cup. The competition uses a best-of-3 Conquest format that lets players demonstrate their mastery over 2 different decks. Each participant prepares 2 unique battle decks before the matchups begin. When a battle is over, the winner must switch to their second deck for the next round. The loser can either keep their current deck or swap to their second. Repeat for the final round.
Well said, commentator guy. I think that this is a great format, and I think that it would be better than card bans and achieving the same goals of promoting deck diversity and not allowing players to use the same, overpowered strategies, as we might call them, but still allowing them to have the choice of what decks that they had to bring without letting their opponents interrupt their choice of synergy. So overall, card bans make Clash Royale less competitive and wind up lowering the skill ceiling. The introduction of extraneous complexity for its own sake is obviously undesirable. I'm a little skeptical, of rules in general, but let's consider how the players are going to actually use these bans in the tournament. Likely, they're either going to ban their opponent's favorite win condition, or they're going to ban a card that best counters the deck that they wish to play. So at first glance, this is bad because it moves a pivotal part of the match away from in-game skill and toward a card selection screen. Now, there will be some people who are out there who will say that there's a little bit of skill involved in knowing which card to ban, but I think that we should try to focus and promote and encourage players who are performing really well in the arena. I think that that is the best example of what competitive Clash Royale should be about, and that is, I think, what we should emphasize in events like CCGS. Deck construction, as you guys know, is a very careful, considerate art that is intentionally disrupted by these bans. So while some cards may have easy replacements, others are so unique that a ban can ruin the entire archetype. Negating a player's experience with that deck by removing one of the 8 cards increases the volatility of game outcomes and nullifies the hours of practice that players invest in them. If you're really familiar with one deck, you know you've had this one deck you love and you've been playing it for many, many months and you're really great with it, all of a sudden you show up at a tournament, your opponent knows which deck you love to play, and they ban a key card from that. I don't think that's fun. I don't think that's good for the game, and I don't think that that's the sort of format that we should promote. Moreover, card bans make Clash Royale less interesting and just less exciting. Watching a player craft and play an awesome new deck on the big stage is one of the greatest things about this game. I mean, we've even got like decks of the week to celebrate these new creative decks that get developed by players who have found the awesome new key combinations. Even since ye olden days of Clash Royale, previously unknown players like Pompeo were able to achieve international fame based upon their decklist creativity. So the introduction of bans is going to hurt us all by reducing the incentive to be creative and develop these new deck lists. Bans also ruin awesome storylines about a player who becomes well known for their mastery of a certain card. Minor God, B-Rad, qualified for CCGS. Adam, the Lord of the Logbait, a #1 player on the ladder who got 20-0 in the 20-win challenge with Logbait. Guys like King K102, a giant skeleton expert, he puts it up in his banner. Darth Jar Jar, you know, the Three Musketeers enthusiasts, and even me, your humble mortal modder. We all have good reason to oppose bans. Now, say B-Rad makes it to the finals, and he's up against an opponent who chooses to ban Minor. I mean, why wouldn't they? They know that B-Rad is really good with Minor, right? If B-Rad loses, are we going to consider his opponent the better player overall? Or are we going to say, well, you know, maybe B-Rad would have won if he had gotten to use his best deck? I don't want to see players using their second and third best decks overall. I want to see them going at it with their very, very best. Card bans prevent that, and we should get rid of them. Let's make CCGS the skill-based, fascinating tournament series that it really should be. When a victor is crowned in each of the regions, let it be because they use the very best decks to the very best of their ability. I think that the solution here, and I'm going to encourage all CCGS players to do, is to speak with their fellow competitors about what they want from this tournament series. If the players choose to take advantage of a format with adversarial, spontaneous bans right before the match, let them at least announce them before they choose them at the match, so that each player has adequate time to prepare their decks in advance. However, if they agree with me that the game is better off without these bans, let them decide together which card will be banned long before the match starts. My recommendation is going to be to #BanBombTower, a purely defensive card which sees no use at all in competitive play and would not affect hardly any deck choices. I hope this post will start a discussion about card bans in the community. Whether you agree or disagree with my position, we should all speak up and share our thoughts about what this new rule means for the game. The last time that I polled the community about this topic, it was really close. 52% said that they didn't want card bans, 48% said that they did. We haven't really reached a final decision yet, and we don't need to. But we do need to reach an understanding about what it means to have card bans in a competitive setting. The admins have come in and they've instituted this new rule, and I really think that it's up to the community to discuss and respond as a result. Thank you very much for listening so far. I hope that you'll tune in to the Clash Royale Crown Championship Global Series European region. We're going to be broadcasting that Tuesdays for the next couple of months or so. The schedule can be found online, obviously. And I hope that you'll share this video. If you want to keep this conversation going, let your friends know. And if you are a competitor in CCGS, I hope that you'll ban the bomb tower. I hope that you'll subscribe also if you want to see more type of this content going forward. And until next time, guys, Woody the Mortar Mauler signing out. I'll see you in the arena.